is actually a really huge television series, even still, and I filmed that, I mean, I don't want to give my age away, but over a decade ago, and it's still airing. I mean, I get fans from Finland, Israel, like all around the world, plus
Really?
they keep rerunning it in hotels in Australia for some weird reason.
So you were a 5-year-old in that, like a little kid in it, right?
Yeah, maybe I was a 5-year-old. No, it was a teenage drama series, and it was of a sci-fi ilk. So those fans, I think it really connected to this underground fan base who maybe hadn't had any shows targeted at them before, and they really latched on to this idea and continued watching it, and now there's spin-offs, and all those fans follow me onto all my other projects. Yeah, it was actually this cult underground series. It's an interesting story actually, because the casting director auditioned people in New Zealand, just in general, just to see what was out there, where Australia's like smaller cousin. And I heard that there were auditions, so I caught an overnight train. I was living in Wellington, which is at the bottom of the North Island. I caught an overnight train up to Auckland where they were holding the auditions, just so that I could arrive there and walk in. I walked into the audition straight off the train, and then did the audition, and then caught a train back home to my hometown. And then the casting director eventually called me, and she said, "So, we'd like to offer you a part. We'll write it for you based on your audition. How do you feel about relocating to Melbourne, Australia?" And I was in the middle of a college degree, and I was like, "Yeah, sure." And then I was like, "Hang on a second. I haven't told my parents that I auditioned for this, and I should probably check with my parents that it's okay that I can move country." But yeah, I was pretty stubborn at that time, so I just did it. And I actually ended up playing a Kiwi character that sort of migrated to Australia. But it was also interesting because I think I was one of the first Asian actresses on that soap, because that soap had a little bit of a stigma. They really got slammed for being completely white. And Australia is very multicultural. I mean, there's lots of Greeks and Italians, there's lots of Asians of all different kinds. So I felt quite lucky that the character I played had nothing to do with my ethnicity. She just happened to be. Outrageous Fortune, which went on to do like 5 or 6 seasons, and I kind of wish I'd stayed because maybe I'd be able to afford a house if I'd stayed. But I actually asked them to write me off the series so that I could come here. So it was a strong decision to come here. You know, I'd like to say that I don't have any regrets. And I have really enjoyed my 4 years that I've been in America, but I literally left a really comfortable position to thrash it out in Los Angeles as a nobody, and I really had to start from scratch again, just about. I had to fly out to New Zealand that same day of my callback for My Wedding and Other Secrets, which is a New Zealand film. And literally I got called in the morning just as I was about to order my taxi. The casting director was like, "We need to see you. The producers and director are in New York right now. Can you make it to us in half an hour?" I had my suitcases by the door. I had my boyfriend at the time with me. I was like, "Okay, you need to grab those bags. We need to get into a car service. I'm going to go into Manhattan, and from Manhattan go to the airport." But so of course Manhattan is jammed, it's a total parking lot. So I got out earlier with the taxi, had both my suitcases running up the sidewalks of New York, turned up at the casting room sweating, it was really rushed, and went and met the producer and the director and did my audition. And then they wanted to see it again, and I actually had to be like, "With all due respect, I have a plane I have to catch, and I can do it for you one more time, but that's it." And I think it's such a quirky, I think he's got this real, to me it feels like a real Wes Anderson feel to the sort of storytelling. But it was a very small project I was involved, just from I just got cast. I replied a casting call that Derek put out. I'd never worked with him before. And then it was just a quick 2-day shoot. And it was there was no written script.
No script?
No, I mean, there wasn't a lot of dialogue, particularly for my character. He had an outline that he had mapped out, but there was a lot of improv going on, which was fun. And I just shot for an afternoon with them in this amazing, I don't know what it was, it's a New York kind of mansion that they use for balls and functions, and it's quite ornate. So we found different locations within there. And so he just a lot of it was me sort of sitting in front of the camera and improving, and he'd give me some directions and I'd try something else.